Sup fam, it's Musashden. Now I know I said I was gonna do more shit on J. Scott Campbell, that I was gonna just redraw a bunch of his shit, but dear God, do I not have the time for that. Also, why am I doing that? I don't really like any of the characters he's famous for drawing. Then I was gonna put my characters in place of them, but the thought of that was just so exhausting. Plus, I have my own actual comic to make, and there's not a team of dudes plus interns to help me, so I simply do not have the time for any more BS involving him. Plus, he kind of imploded upon himself and went back to being a non-factor, so yeah. And I could just hear the fuck boys now. Oh, she gave up, she chickened out, we won, her derp. Shut the fuck up, you ain't win shit. Die away from me. I don't want my channel to turn into one where I only complain about stuff. I feel like there's already enough of those. They know who they are, and not that they would deign to watch any of my stuff, they know. Now that you know my opinion on old Jeff and what his art is to me, I'd rather do a list of comic artists that I consider top tier. These are in no particular order. I don't hold any of these people in higher regard to any of the indie artists out there. This is simply a list of some mainstream comic and animation artists. This is basically the criteria for it, because if I listed all the amazing artists I'd follow, we'd be here all day. There's at least 200 on my watch list that have better chops than J. Scott Campbell and are far more deserving of adoration. So let's cleanse our palates with some fantastic artists. Let's start with Jeff Matsuda. A lot of people know Matsuda from that Batman show nobody liked but somehow went on for 5 seasons, but I first saw his work on Jackie Chan Adventures. His character designs are amazing, and I didn't notice this until I rewatched Jackie Chan Adventures as an adult, but nobody on that show has the same face shape. Jade and Jackie have pretty simple face shapes, but other than them, every single character has a unique face shape, and they are always on model. Matsuda said, same face syndrome, not up in here. His stylization runs the gamut from sleek and angular to heavy and chunky, and it's really amazing to see an artist be capable of both. My somewhat recent love of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure should make this next one obvious, but Araki Hirohiko is really amazing. Not only has he been around forever, but he's developed this crazy way of posing his characters. He's like the personification of super extra. Like, why does he have to be like this? 'Cause fuck you, that's why. Araki makes the rules in this raggedy motherfucker, and all you do is suck up food and heat. You want body horror? You got it. You want muscular, beautiful men? You got it. You want color shifts that make you question everything about reality? You got it. You want a manga to span over 25 years? You got it. What's great is that you can see his style evolve and change over time. It's still the same crazy poses and angles, but you can tell he got some criticism, took some advice, learned something new, and that's cool to see, especially in someone so popular, because the second that praise starts rolling in, some people act like they're above reproach. If you read Saga, which you should, it's great. You know it's drawn by Fiona Staples. What I love about her art style is that it's pretty realistic, but the comic is based in space, so you have all these aliens that are basically humanoid, like they are something you would see on Earth, but she mashes it together with something else, like the guy with just the TV for a head. Apparently, everything else about that race is what you would find in a human. They just have TVs for heads. It's even stated in the comic that no one knows how they eat. It's awesome. Or how Gus is just a baby seal. It's just great. The comic is just chock full of all this visual eye candy, and I'm not just talking about Marco, okay? Okay. As far as stylized artists go, I gotta say, Bruce Timm is my absolute favorite. I grew up on Batman the Animated Series and 90s Cartoon Network, so that super angular style is just so cool to me, which might explain why I don't like how most cartoons are drawn now. They're too squishy. Plus, Bruce's coloring is always so nice. Like, how does he do it? I gotta find some videos of that somebody may have captured on how he does it, because it looks simplistic but it's so amazing, and like the airbrushing is so soft. Bruce Timm's art is basically why I prefer DC animated to DC live action. The only thing I could really say against him is that he seems to suffer from what most mainstream comic artists do, and that is a total inability to draw feet. I never realized how many of them have this problem. It's starting to get a little funny. Like, none of them know how to draw feet, but it's okay, because they could be good at other stuff. Like, I'll tackle that in another video, maybe. Like, why don't any of these men know how to draw feet? Why don't mainstream comic artists know how to draw feet? It's a little weird. It's kind of funny, because none of them do. Okay, I'm not sure if he's as well known as any of the other artists on this list, but Nick Robles, or Nicholas Robles, I think he goes by just Nick Robles on Twitter, which is where I found him. Nick Robles is amazing. His favorite thing to draw seems to be Nightcrawler, and as it happens, Nightcrawler is my main man. So his place on my top tier artist should go without question. His art is just, yeah, he has this one kind of way of, What was I saying? I was talking about Nick Robles and something happened. Anyway, who's next? Afua Richardson. Her art is amazing. Her art is stylized to the point where if I see it, I know it's by her. She was featured in the HBO series Lovecraft Country, which literally made me scream when they said her name in the show. I've met her in real life and she is just so cool. Like, so cool. She doesn't get the shine she deserves. She deserves more shine. You got some shine, you give it to her, because she deserves it. When I went to my very first convention, my table was in the same aisle as hers, and I spent half the weekend telling my best friend how amazing she was, and that, oh my god, I'm in the same aisle as Afua freaking Richardson. She's legit, and I felt like such a doofus until then. Being there was when it clicked for me. She's been at every convention I've had a table at, and I say hi to her every time, but I doubt she remembers who I am, but that's okay because she's so cool. And if it sounds like I have a crush on her, you might be right, but you know, shut up, don't tell nobody. And last but not least, there's Jack Kirby. And for the people rolling their eyes at me, fucking off is free. I don't care if it's cliche to have him on my list instead of Stan Lee. Jack Kirby is responsible for comic trends that are still being used today. Without him coming back from the war and picking up the pencil again, comics would still be in the broom closet at the local paper, okay? For the time, he made some really amazing stuff. That being said, he was literally from a different time. I doubt if he were still alive he'd give a shit about what some random digital artist thinks of his work. Like, they were seriously analog. Like, I doubt he would be into digital art, but you know, I do wonder sometimes what people from his era think of where comics are now. Ah well, I guess we'll just never know. Honorable mentions, because I don't want this video to be 20 minutes long. These artists have a super distinct style, but I just don't think they're as well known as the aforementioned ones all the ones that I just said. Like Steven Silver, who is best known for Kim Possible. Yoshitaka Amano, who is amazing, has this amazing whimsical style that you can find in like Final Fantasy art and Vampire Hunter D comic art covers, and tons of other stuff. And then there's Yutaka Minowa, who created the awesome styles used for Ninja Scroll and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. You know, that style that Castlevania pretty much kind of took and ran with. But I don't mind because I don't even know if that was designed by him. Maybe it was. I don't know. Don't care. Greg Gruler, who also does a lot of character design for Disney, including Gargoyles. Look him up. Also, Gendy Tartakovsky, Craig McCracken, pretty much anyone who drew anything for Cartoon Network in the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, they get high marks from me. They were all great. Now for something you can really roll your eyes about. A shameless plug. I couldn't possibly name all these great artists without mentioning myself too. Come on. They didn't pay me to hype them up. So while you're checking out their stuff, check out my stuff too. Yes, I'm the artist I am today because of most of these artists on this list. If you like my art, you can get some of your very own on my Square store or my TeePublic. If you just want to follow me everywhere, you can totally do that because I am on Twitter, DeviantArt, Instagram, Wattpad, and Tumblr. And I'm Musashden here, there, and everywhere. Thanks for watching.